to our series and our story. We are now on part 3. We've already done part 1 and part 2 of where I explained why I am single, why I am a single mother. And today we are going to dive and jump into the reason why I am called a foster mother. I told you I am one blessed woman because I hold 2 titles: single mom and foster mother. And soon maybe I'll be missing somebody. Because I mentioned to you on my video, the other videos, that marriage is sweet and marriage is good when you are with the right person. And definitely for the many years that I have lived as a single woman, my heart has healed, the pain is gone, and oh yeah, I'm gonna give marriage another trial and another chance, and this time it's gonna be big and better for the glory of God. So how did I become a foster mother? Those of you who have been following me mostly on social media, you know that I foster 3 girls. These 3 girls actually are all sisters. They don't have a mother, and they used to live with their biological father in the slum, in a slum called Korogocho slums. Those who are in Nairobi know Korogocho slums. And they actually are not my tribe. That's one thing people have never known. They are not my tribe. We don't speak the same language. I am a Kikuyu and they are Luyas. But even myself personally, I rarely remember that we are not the same tribe, because to me it's not a big deal. It's not an issue actually. So these girls, I came to meet them in the year 2020, actually when COVID was so high here in Kenya. And as you all remember, during that time of COVID, most of us were staying at home because not going to work, nothing, lockdowns and all that. And there was a lot of economical problems causing a lot of hunger, and more especially to people living in the slum. So we had a lot of well-wishers coming together, contributing food. And then when they contribute this food, it was to be given to the people in the slums. So there's this one particular team, from a team of Asians, and they are called Team Pankaj. Team Pankaj. So that's one big team that did amazing work during the COVID time. And they fed so many people across so many slums in the country during the COVID time, Korogocho slums being one of the beneficiaries. So what this team Pankaj used to do, they would bring a lot of food in trucks, actually in lorries, in trucks, a lot of food packages. And all they requested for was for volunteers, because they would come, place the food in one place. Like if they get a place to store the food, they would come and offload all the food there. But then definitely there were to be logistics of how the food now will be moved from the store to the houses where people live. Because like in my country, there was a serious lockdown during that time of COVID, and the president had already announced that there should not be social gatherings. So there is no way we would have called people to come to congregate into one place, and then we give them the food packages. So we needed a lot of volunteers to carry the food packages from the food stores to the people's houses, door to door. And I thought to myself, now because we are not going to work, we are just staying at home, it's COVID time, the boredom was too much. You can imagine being in the house every day and you're not used to that. It was just too much. And so I thought, why can't I be one of the volunteers and participate? Actually, that would be one reason to make me get out of the house, go out there, meet with people, interact and feel good. Personally, I am a people person. So when I'm somewhere where I'm not interacting with people, I feel not complete. So I love interacting with people. I love being where people are. And I took that one as a big advantage for me. Me personally, I was honestly taking that as a break. I was taking the voluntary work as a break for me. So we would wake up in the morning together with my daughter and my daughter Abigail, because she was a teenager, 14 years by then, and my house manager. And then we'd tell each other, no, instead of staying in the house, let's go to the slum and volunteer to carry the food and distribute it house to house. And we agreed, oh yeah, that's an interesting thing to do. So we would wake up, take breakfast, and go to the slum. There would feel good because we'd interact with people, laugh, have fun, move from one place to another. And then I loved the part of involving my daughter, because ever since I started my slum activities or working in the slum or giving back to the community in the year 2016, this is my 7th year. 2024 is my 7th year of doing activities in the slum. Every time, even that time when my daughter was young, I would involve her. I would go with her. I would actually want her to accompany me to go and see what I usually do in the slum. Little did I know, this thing of making my daughter go with me to the slum is impacting her life differently. She's getting to pick up some lessons and some personalities of kindness without even me sitting her down and telling her, you need to be kind, you need to do this. Definitely she would learn by participation. We'd go with her to the slum. She would see how kids are suffering. From that, my girl learned how to appreciate what I am giving her and what I'm offering to her as a parent. And at this point, that's why I encourage parents, when you're going to visit the children's home, the feeding centers, the slums, when you're going to do the community work, don't leave your kids behind. Don't think that they're so little. Don't think that the slum is too dirty. You don't want them to go there and pick some germs and get dirty and get sick. No, 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 no. Always involve your kids. Go with them. There are life lessons they will learn without you having to sit them down and telling them this and this and that. So actually now that is how my daughter picked a personality that is so sweet. She's such a kind girl, because if it was not for her, I always tell people, in this whole story of me being the foster mother of these 3 girls, the heroine here is my daughter. Because you can imagine, for those of us who have brought up kids, you know, the kids who are the only kids. I need to stop somewhere. I need to stop here just a minute. Yeah, let me stop here because I'm almost getting to where I'm going and I want to finish this story. So I was saying, your kids get a personality that you are not the one who is actually telling them. My daughter, she's the real heroine in my story of fostering these 3 girls. Why? Because if it was not for my daughter accepting to accommodate these 3 girls in their home, allowing these girls to call her mother their mother, allowing these girls to sleep on her bed, allowing these girls to use same room with her, and you know teenagers, the way they are very sensitive with their things, they are very sensitive with their space. But my daughter, being a teenager, was so accommodative, so loving. She just gave me the space and the easiness of bringing the 3 kids into my house. So we start the volunteering work, and day by day we go, we map an area that we are going to do the distributions on that day, and then we'd go door to door. We have a list of names. We go door to door, distribute the food. Tomorrow we do the same thing, and all, like that. So there's this one particular day that we went to a certain area that we had mapped for that day. And let me tell you, the things of God are very interesting. In the slum, you'd rate everybody as poor. People live in abject poverty in the slum. So sometimes even if you see us having that list, you are like, who do we choose, who do we not, do we leave out? But definitely there will always be cases that are worse than the others. So when we were doing the distributions, we were meeting different cases and actually very needy cases. But this particular day, I came across a home. I entered into that home in our normal duties to distribute food. And I'm telling you, we entered into that home and I just felt tears. Remember, I've been doing these other homes and they are also poor. They are also in abject poverty. But there's something that happened when I entered in this particular home that I cannot actually explain in words. One, we entered into a home that was looking so, it was like a shanty home. I'll try and see whether I can get a photo of that and attach here. And then the house was like 50 meters apart from where the pit latrine was. So they were using a pit latrine. This pit latrine was already full and overflowing. So when we entered into the compound, there was a stench. A very bad stench. The smell was unbearable because now the toilet is overflowing and coming all the way towards the house, and it had now flooded and stagnated at the doorstep. Actually, now what the father of these girls had done, he had piled up sacks of soil on top of each other on the doorstep to block this sewage from entering the house because it was flooded, it had worms, it was stinking, smelling so bad. So that's how the father had blocked the sewage from entering the house. So I got there and I was like, my goodness, you mean there are people who live here? You mean there are people who can withstand this stench every day? You mean there are people who can every day wake up and the first thing you see when you open that door of the house is a flooded sewage with worms, stinking and all that? There are people who call this their home every day. And then to make matters worse, they were little babies, 3 girls. The eldest was 8 years by then 5 years and 3 years respectively. All of them looking malnourished. They don't have a mother, they are living with their biological father. All of them looking malnourished. The 8 years old was weighing 18 kilos. The 5 years one was weighing 11 kilos. And the 3 years old was the worst. She was weighing 8 kilos. A baby of 3 years weighing 8 kilos. So malnourished, so worn out that even her bones could not carry her body weight. She could not walk. She could not stand. She could not talk. She was just there. Even when she's moving from the house to outside, this big one has to carry on the back because of the sewage at the doorstep. If this big one is not there to carry her on the back across the sewage, then she had to crawl. Actually, she was crawling at 3 years. You can imagine a baby of 3 years crawling. You can imagine. That is so sad. For mothers, I know you understand. A 3-year-old crawling. That is a child you should be preparing to go to school the following year. Now the baby is crawling, not talking, not walking, not standing, no nothing. You know, missed milestones, delayed milestones, and the baby is just there. So that's the scenario we got when we entered there. And I'm telling you, I cried. I looked at those babies and I cried. We handed over the food, but I cried. And we had a little interaction with those babies. By this time, we have not gotten to know that what the father is doing to them. The story hasn't come out. So I'm just crying out of compassion and pity. And I'm like, really, these babies, do they really deserve to live such a life? And so we just had a little chat with the babies and the father. And I remember, just like any other person, when you want to ice break with a child, most of the time you start by asking the child, what's your name, where do you go to school, who is your teacher, who is your best friend, and such things. They make a kid easy to talk to you. So I went the same route and I'm like, what's your name, and your sister's name and your other sister's name. And where is your mom? Then they were like, we don't have mom, we live with dad. Okay, so where do you go to school? That's what broke my heart completely. Because now when I ask this girl, where do you go to school? She told me, I don't go to school. Now I'm talking to the big one, the 8 years old one. And I'm like, why? Why don't you go to school? She's like, because dad wants us to go to up country. Then I ask her, why do you have to go to up country? And then she told me, I don't know. I asked her, you, what do you want? She told me, I want to go to school. I don't want to go to Ushago. Ushago is up country. I don't want to go to Ushago. I love doing my videos in a standard language, English, because I know I'm followed by so many people who don't even understand Swahili. So, Ushago. And then I'm like, okay, so what do you want to do? I want to go to school. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This baby. And I identified with her, so I felt her pain. And I just faced the other directions and wiped my tears. I didn't want that baby to see me cry. But the statement she made that she does not want to go to Ushago, she wants to go to school, made me cry. Because I identified with her. For those of you who know me through social media or personally, you know that I have been a school dropout for 7 years. I stayed at home for 7 years when I was chased out of school because of lack of school fees in Form 3, in high school actually. And that made me stay at home for 7 years, work as a housemaid, work as a mama mboga, and so many other things. I'll come one day and tell that story of my journey as a school dropout for 7 years. So when you see me here blessed like this, there's a story behind it. So I really identified with that girl, and I felt like she pricked the soft spot in me. It's like she pricked that soft spot in me. I faced the other side and I cried. I wiped my tears. And then I came back to the girl and I'm like, so which school? So I thought she has dropped out of school. Now she needs to go back. I asked her, which school have you been going to? She's like, I've never been to school. And again, I'm like, for 8 years, a child has never seen the look of a classroom, has never sat on a desk, has never sat on a class. 8 years. 8 years of never knowing how a school looks like. Oh my goodness. That was horrible. Life in the slum is so harsh and so cruel. You might ask how, but unless maybe you have ever been to the slum, that's when you can be able to understand that life is not whatever we take for so much for granted out here. Back in the slum is such a precious treasure. The things that we see, they are small. Your baby attains the school going age, they go to school, and you think it's just normal and ordinary. It's not. So I'm like, for 8 years. So the 8-year-old one had never seen class. 5 years old one had never seen school. 3 years old one, that one is okay, she's still in her age. And I'm like, oh my God. I just said a prayer in my heart and I said, Jehovah, my God, bless me and help me, but this girl will have to go to school. I don't know how, but I need to talk, even if I talk to my friends and mobilize and all that, but this girl needs to go to school. One blessing God has given me is the blessing of good friends and good networks. You know, friends that I can go and tell them, you know, I came across a child and she needs to go to school, let's do something. And they will do something and that child will go to school. That's one blessing God has given me. So at first, my first thought was like, this girl, she needs to go to school. And I swear in my heart at that time, and I said, by the grace of God, for as long as God liveth, this child will go to school. And my plan then was, I will organized for her to join one of the schools in the slum so that she can be going to, actually the two of them can be going to school and coming back home as we wait for the 3-year-old one to get to 4 years and also start school. Because we were seeing this father is a good dad. He's actually a single father taking care of his 3 children, and his wife is not there. We actually uploaded him and we were very happy, and we were so excited to see a responsible single father actually in the slum struggling to make it end. And we came together as a team because I was not alone. We were a big team, and we were calling ourselves COVID-19 response team, a very big team of volunteers. And we agreed we're gonna support this guy to see how he will support his children, put up a business for him. He's a good father, he's a good daddy, we need to support him. But little did we come to know that all that shines is not gold. I want to end part 1 there, but now part 2, I'm coming to tell you what did we discover about this man who is the biological father of these kids. At first, we are very happy and very impressed with him. We are all out to support him in all ways, but we got the disappointment of our time when we discovered what this guy was doing to this innocent girl. And I'm coming back with that on our 4th, because it's part 3, so part 4. I'll now come and continue from there. I told you this story is so long, it can only be in bits so that you are able to watch it without being bored. If I'm to tell all of it without stopping, maybe it will take a whole 2 hours to tell it. So that's why I'm telling it in bits. And you'll connect. When you watch the previous part, make sure you watch the next one and you'll be getting the whole story. I love you so much, and I can't wait to interact with you in my next video and get to inspire you. Please go to our YouTube channel. It's called Touching Lives Through Love. Subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that you can get notified anytime I upload a new video. And please like, share, and comment. I love you so much, and see you in our next video. Love you. Mwah.